Hey Safari Nerds. So I get a lot of very interesting inquiries while sitting here at my computer, planning safaris for people. One of the ones I got today was in the notes section, they said they wanted no bugs. And this is something that we just cannot guarantee. So I wanted to make a little video to talk about setting sort of realistic expectations for when you go on a safari. So let's talk about that first one, bugs. There's going to be some bugs. You're out in the wild. There's just no way to avoid that. Now, most of these places aren't overrun with mosquitoes like you may think. You're not going to be overrun with bugs. You can ask almost anybody who's been on a safari, and most of the time it's not going to be extremely buggy and you're just constantly swarmed by bugs. So this isn't something you really need to worry about as much as you may think. Second is the heat. You are going to have some heat. You're going to Africa, especially East Africa, where you are close to the equator. It doesn't mean that the heat is oppressive. If you can handle heat, let's say in America, in Florida, similarly, you can handle heat in Africa. It is not constantly oppressive heat the entire time, but it is a factor. Third expectation that I run into a lot is air conditioning. Most of the places you go to, especially out in the middle of, let's say, the Serengeti or another game reserve, are not going to have air conditioning. And if they do, they're going to be the more expensive properties. The reason for this is power. Most of these places do not have power coming off of a power grid. They're running power off of solar panels or generators, and air conditioners pull a lot of demand for power. And so that is just not something that they can run on the power sources that are available. You will typically have fans, or, you can open up the screens, and in the evenings, it's usually cool enough for a nice sleep. Fourth expectation, touching wildlife or having very hands-on experiences. There are some places where you can have close proximity. You can go to an orphanage perhaps, have some close proximity, let's say at Sheldrick in Nairobi or the Giraffe Center. But when it comes to getting up close and personal with, let's say, big cats like lions and petting them, this is just not something I recommend. Even when places do offer this, I typically will not send our clients there because there is really no way to guarantee safety in that situation. These may seem like calm animals, but all they have to do is decide today is not the day. And if you're the person that's there, you're going to get the brunt of that. And that is a major safety issue. You will always have some proximity to wildlife in your vehicles. They will get close. You will have a way more visceral up close experience than you may have ever imagined. Okay, so this brings me to a fifth expectation, and this is covering so much ground in a short amount of time. Understanding that Africa is a massive continent, so getting between various countries and locations can be complicated, can take a lot of time. I have people that want to see Cape Town, they want to do Victoria Falls, they want to do the Serengeti, they want to go into the Masai Mara in Kenya, and they want to go to Zanzibar. And let's say that they want to do that all in 10 to 12 days. So we need to be very realistic about the fact that that is extremely difficult to pull off. Costs a lot of money, spend a lot of time in transit between locations, and it might be the only time I go, I want to see everything. What are your priorities of what you want to see based on your budget and based on the time that you want to be there, and knowing that you are not going to cover everything in a single trip. And finally, the last expectation we deal with is budget. I realize that doing a safari, everybody thinks we're going to go to Africa, we can do it on the cheap. You can, but I often get people who are looking to spend $2,000 to $3,000 per person for a 10-day safari, and that is just not something that happens. If you find something that's offered that way, I would say buyer beware. You kind of get what you pay for. So just know that a safari is not a very cheap experience. It is something that is going to cost some money. We can definitely do safaris in a much more affordable way. It doesn't have to be $20,000 per person, but doing something around 2 or 3 that is a week to 14 days is definitely something that's going to be far more difficult to pull off. So understanding that and having the expectation that this is a trip that you're investing in, this is an experience that you're investing in, is something that you really need to have in mind when you start the process. Okay, so with all of that being said, even with all of these expectations taken off the table, you are going to have a magical safari experience. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip. You're definitely going to want to do it again. And this is something that, even without those expectations being met, the types of experiences that you're going to have are still going to be extremely fulfilling, and you're going to come home with amazing memories. So don't let that stop you, and just be ready for a real adventure.